China's financial situation is extremely tense after Xi Jinping's decision. Freezing real estate, healthcare corruption, private property registration, and the historical term Commonwealth have returned. How will China deal with it, or will it become the country will perish in the future? Please join us in discovering this secret. Middle-class meltdown. China's economic landscape under scrutiny. All will be covered today in China Undercover. You find our information helpful? Please subscribe and turn on the notification. In a recent digital sensation, a short video of Song Xiaocheng, the former chief financial officer of Alibaba's China division, has swiftly propagated across online platforms. In this video, Song uncovers a fresh chapter in the Chinese Communist Party's CP purported financial and tax reforms. According to Song's revelations, commencing from August, the nation embarked on an ambitious quest to scrutinize the assets of its populace. This endeavor is orchestrated through a mechanism dubbed the Individual Income and Property Information Registration. At its core lies a singular identifier, our personal identification number. Once ensnared within the system's grasp, one's array of properties, vehicles, and assets is laid bare in a comprehensive tableau. What lies behind this system's veneer? It is, in essence, a systematic inspection of assets, casting its investigative gaze predominantly upon individuals of elevated net worth and substantial incomes. Assets surpassing the 2 million mark become subjects of regulatory inquisition, automatically branding them as assets of high net worth. Although it's worth noting that in our contemporary landscape, merely owning a residence, a vehicle, and some accumulated savings can easily propel one past this seemingly arbitrary threshold of 2 million. Thus, the intricacies of wealth are much more nuanced than this categorical benchmark would suggest. The spotlight, however, converges most intently upon those whose assets ascend the pinnacle of 6 million, drawing the government's unwavering attention to their monetary affairs. It's worth noting that Song Xiaocheng's recent revelations have a solid foundation. As far back as May 23, 2017, authorities had given the green light to what's called the Plan for the Construction of the Individual Income and Property Information System. During that time, financial experts shared with Youkai, a mainland media outlet, that the system's main goal was to lay the groundwork for personal tax reform. This was part of a larger effort towards real estate tax reform, with a specific focus on individuals with high incomes. Moving forward on April 25 of this year, officials made an important announcement about a unified real estate registration system that would cover the entire country. This initiative aimed to gain better insight into people's property assets. According to the paper, during the National Natural Resources and Real Estate Rights Registration Conference on April 25, Wang Guanghua, the Minister of Natural Resources, revealed that after a decade of work, China had finally established a comprehensive unified real estate registration system, encompassing all land and property rights. Additionally, on May 26 of the same year, an article published on the Chinese search engine giant Sohu, titled Promoting Common Prosperity, Tax Reform is Digging Deep, highlighted China's shift away from relying on land sales to sustain local finances in the next decade. This raises the question of how the national finances will be sustained. The government's response involves steering tax reform towards direct taxes rather than indirect taxes. To put it simply, the current major tax in China, known as the VAT, is an indirect tax, whereas the proposed direct tax is based on the assets owned by individuals and families. This reform's purpose, as suggested by the article, is to ensure that wealthy individuals contribute more in taxes while reducing the burden on those with lower incomes. Simultaneously, taxes with significant impact, such as capital gains tax, inheritance tax, and real estate tax, are set to be implemented. These measures aim to narrow the wealth gap and promote what's referred to as common prosperity. To facilitate this effort, the Tax Reform Agency has introduced the Individual and Property Information Registration System. Once an individual enrolls in this system, their properties, vehicles, and savings will be accessible by using their ID number. Despite official claims that these tax reforms will foster common prosperity, the general sentiment among the Chinese public is that it's essentially a disguised strategy to collect more from the wealthy. This perception has the potential to discourage entrepreneurs and investors from putting their money into businesses in China, which could lead to a scenario where everyone's financial situation becomes more equalized, but at a lower level. Over the last few years, local authorities have faced challenges with mounting debt, and the official financial system has struggled due to inadequate funds, a fact that has been well known. To tackle this pressing financial shortfall, authorities have adopted various strategies to extract more resources from the remaining affluent segment of China's population. The Individual and Property Information Registration System is widely seen by the public as a definitive measure by the Chinese government targeting affluent individuals. In a recent development, banners reading Economic Census, Know Your Assets, Data confidentiality of each household protected by law have been displayed in communities across China. On August 17th, a video broadcasted by a government channel gained widespread attention, featuring the caption, "Where'd our money go?" The message appears to be aimed at sectors like real estate, oil, lottery, and funds, suggesting a move to evaluate the assets held by beneficiaries in these industries. This push for harvesting wealth isn't a novel occurrence. Recent events such as the demand for a list of overseas migrants through the arrest of Xi'an, the head of China's largest immigration firm, as well as a nationwide anti-corruption storm directed at the pharmaceutical and healthcare sector, are seen as signs of the government's intention to redistribute wealth from the well-off. Moreover, a statement by Song Shoucheng about increased oversight of individuals with assets surpassing 6 million RMB has caused concern. Apprehensions are mounting given past instances where regulatory discussions by the Chinese government have often translated into significant actions. These concerns evoke memories of April 10, 2021, when China's State Administration for Market Regulation imposed a historic fine of 18.2 billion RMB, approximately 2.78 billion yuan, on the e-commerce giant Alibaba Group for violating the anti-monopoly law. Dickie Wong, executive director of research at Hong Kong's Kingston Securities, remarked that Alibaba has faced heightened regulatory scrutiny since the suspension of Ant Group's initial public offering. This situation could lead to short-term pressure on stock prices, and speculation is growing about who might be the next target, including major internet players like Tencent. Similarly, Chinese ride-hailing company Didi Chuxing has been confronted with 16 charges and a fine of 8 billion RMB. Commentator Xi'an noted that Didi's penalty echoes Alibaba's case. Both are outcomes of the Chinese Communist Party's efforts to consolidate industries and control private wealth. Amidst these regulatory pressures, several influential Chinese business figures and large corporations have chosen to make substantial donations to government-led projects, possibly as a way to avoid further crackdowns. For example, internet giant Tencent, in conjunction with its Q2 2021 financial reports, committed an additional 50 billion RMB to support the Common Prosperity Initiative for rural and low-income communities. Simultaneously, the e-commerce platform Pinduoduo announced intentions to donate its Q2 profits, totaling 10 billion RMB, to assist Chinese farmers and agricultural areas. These instances highlight a trend. When the government increases scrutiny on specific individuals or companies, these entities might feel compelled to offer significant donations as a form of protection. Those familiar with the history of the Chinese Communist Party might recall the campaigns of the 1920s and 1930s targeting tyrants and redistributing wealth. During that time, forceful methods including torture and executions were used to coerce landlords into surrendering their assets. The CCP also established execution squads in regions like Hunan and Jiangxi. Following the party's rise to power, it initiated another land reform drive in the 1950s. This historical pattern once again fueled tensions among the populace, resorting to violent methods to seize wealth from landlords. Yang Li, former vice-governor of Guangdong province, detailed in his book Record of Grave Injustices that during that era, the prevailing slogan in Guangdong was blood flows in every village, struggles in every household. In the spring of 1953 alone, 1156 individuals reportedly lost their lives due to land reforms in the western part of Guangdong, with estimates suggesting several 100,000 fatalities in total. Notably, none of these casualties were considered wicked enough to quell public outrage. These brutal events might be echoing in China's current landscape, so that the ongoing investigation into the medical system, which delves into 2 decades of historical corruption records, could be viewed as a contemporary version of the campaign against so-called tyrants. The People's Daily has already begun cautioning about corruption in various sectors beyond healthcare, including education, oil, electricity, and banking. The strategy seems to involve initiating the crackdown in healthcare and then extending it to other industries in succession. Observers in online discussions speculate that the Chinese government is orchestrating a comprehensive anti-corruption drive, warning that those who have accumulated profits over the years might be compelled to relinquish their gains. In a live broadcast, financial commentator Cold Eye on Finance suggested that the medical industry could potentially yield trillions through anti-corruption efforts. Additionally, lawyers in China have a reputation for exploiting both plaintiffs and defendants, while accountants often engage in fraudulent bookkeeping, and engineers may be entangled in construction-related corruption. This sweeping anti-corruption campaign has bred a deep-seated fear in China. If authorities are revisiting events from 2 decades ago, a vast number of individuals could be implicated, potentially driving the middle class into sudden poverty. This unsettling scenario, coupled with Xi Jinping's stern approach, could contribute to a significant decrease in consumer spending. Xi'an Chenggu, a seasoned media professional from Hong Kong, has also observed recent moves by the Chinese Communist Party against the affluent. Xi'an suggests that the current financial crisis is triggering both economic and political turmoil, and the CCP's strategy is to postpone the impending social crisis. In times of financial scarcity, the party resorts to desperate measures. Xi'an notes that the potential collapse of the CCP has gained international attention, acknowledged by discussions on Wall Street, and even alluded to by Chinese President Xi Jinping in melancholic poetry. Even Xi senses an impending collapse; its occurrence seems inevitable. The only lingering questions pertain to when and how it will unfold. Xi'an predicts that the CCP may only hold on for a few more years and advises Chinese citizens to prepare. Looking back, the motives of the Chinese Communist Party in relation to targeting the affluent, both before and shortly after its ascent to power, were believed to revolve around 3 key objectives: securing financing for their rebellion, gaining public support, and recruiting peasants for military service. However, as the Chinese Communist Party CPM solidified its control, it quickly reclaimed the lands it had previously allocated. This prompts the question: what's the purpose behind the current revitalized campaign? Dr. Xi'an, a professor at the University of South Carolina, Aiken's School of Business, posits that the new campaign maintains 3 fundamental goals, albeit with slight nuances. The first objective remains the generation of funds to ensure the party's enduring power. The second aim persists in garnering public favor and creating a facade of serving the people, while veiling widening wealth disparities and societal injustices. The third ambition endures in recruiting loyal followers, essentially cannon fodder. The CCP strives to fortify its authority by captivating people's loyalty and accumulating wealth. From the online Wumao paid internet commentators employed by the CCP for spreading propaganda to urban management officers and party defense forces, there's an ongoing demand for financial resources and personnel. The CCP's nature, often likened to that of thugs and bandits, has remained relatively consistent over the past century. In essence, the party's precarious power status, coupled with financial strain and concerns about connections between private capital and dissidents, have prompted a resurgence in campaigns targeting the wealthy. Regarding public sentiment toward this recent campaign, a resident named Mim Ems Fan expressed to overseas media her belief that initiatives like the anti-corruption efforts in healthcare indicate a depletion of government funds. She contends that profits from medical commercialization are substantial, yet ordinary citizens often find themselves surrendering their life savings and even generational wealth to the healthcare system. Ms. Fan asserts that the ongoing anti-corruption measures serve as a lifeline for the Chinese Communist Party. She remarks, "They are all in this together. How could they possibly prevent doctors from making money? It's just that now, when the party is short of funds, they demand a portion of it." Lei Jianping, a lawyer, media figure, and graduate with a master's degree in international law from China University of Political Science and Law, shared his thoughts with the media, emphasizing legitimate reasons for public skepticism. He notes that the CCP's robust anti-corruption drive in the healthcare sector continues its selective, campaign-style strategy driven by political needs rather than a commitment to the rule of law. Middle-class struggles in China's changing landscape. The concept of a cherished dream home transforming into a nightmare and erasing a middle-class existence is a haunting reality in modern China. A foreboding curse that emerged in mainland China as early as 2009, warning about the vulnerability of the middle class, has now materialized into a harsh truth. At the center of this unsettling situation is Shanghai's real estate sector, ensnared in a vicious cycle of stagnation. Prospective buyers are cautious, sellers are trapped, and those aspiring to enter the market are confronted with dwindling property values. As prices plummet, potential buyers are increasingly hesitant, choosing to postpone purchases. This ripple effect has reverberated through the market, rendering newly built homes unsellable and even pre-owned properties facing a similar fate. The outcome, a perpetually subdued real estate market in Shanghai. The repercussions extend beyond housing. A generation of young individuals witnessing this turmoil have embraced a lifestyle change. They are veering away from traditional adult milestones like marriage and homeownership, favoring renting instead. Amid economic downturns, job losses, and evolving societal norms, the middle class stands at a crossroads. What was once a stable pillar of society, characterized by prudence, stability, and leisure, now grapples with anxiety and trepidation. The force that was meant to provide stability has transformed into a valve releasing pent-up pressures, while the media presents an image of unchanging prosperity. Perceptive people in China are detecting a shift in the air. Below the surface of society, simmering frustrations are evident, a consequence of business closures, bankruptcies, and widespread joblessness. In the midst of this upheaval, adopting a low-key approach has become crucial, as even minor displays of extravagance or confrontations carry significant risks. The landscape has undergone a transformation, imbuing ordinary actions with new significance. Kindness and understanding have become essential tools for navigating this altered reality. As many grapple with feelings of displacement and dissatisfaction, China's assertion of having the world's largest middle class faces scrutiny against this backdrop. Official figures point to a substantial middle class of 109 million individuals, characterized by education, stable employment, and spending capacity. However, this narrative contends with the sobering truth that China's economic momentum is waning. Placing added stress on this seemingly robust middle class, the on-the-ground reality contradicts the statistics, as the everyday lives of numerous regular citizens become a complex balance of financial pressure and cautious decisions. In Shenzhen, a few thousand yuan can vanish in the blink of an eye, leaving regular folks struggling to make ends meet. The once assured security of the middle class is now teetering on the edge of becoming a mirage. The entire landscape has undergone a seismic shift, with concerns about owning a home, disappearing job opportunities, and a transformed economic environment. The middle class is facing an uncertain path ahead. Defining China's middle class is a complex task, but the undeniable growth of the urban middle class over the past 3 decades is clear. This expansion has led many to see themselves as part of this socio-economic segment. However, recent surveys challenge this perception, indicating that the decline in self-identifying as middle class might be tied to urgent problems like exorbitant housing expenses, obstacles in starting businesses, and a rising unemployment rate. For a long time, civil service jobs in mainland China were considered a secure source of income. Often seen as an iron rice bowl that guaranteed stability and earnings, many people aimed for these positions with the goal of attaining middle-class status. However, recent events suggest that this traditionally stable sector is undergoing significant changes. reports indicate that pay cuts for civil servants have become widespread in various provinces, even in economically strong areas like Guangdong. Discussions about adjusting civil servant salaries have taken place in places like Guangdong. In provinces like Jiangsu, salaries have been reduced by 15 N, while Fujian experienced a 20 cut and another unnamed province saw a 25 decrease. For example, if someone used to earn 10,000 yuan before the cut, they would now earn only 7,500 yuan. These pay cuts are reportedly linked to a decline in revenue from land, which in turn affects the salaries of civil servants. Sources from Guangdong and other provinces suggest that reduced or absent income from land finance has led to these widespread pay reductions. This situation paints a concerning picture for China's middle class. The rapid pace of changes and development can easily destabilize individuals if they're not adaptable. Even after managing to purchase a home, often leading to being dubbed a house slave due to large mortgages, people are often hesitant to change jobs. They must also contend with subpar housing conditions and aggressive property management. It's important to differentiate between verified information and potential rumors or exaggerations. If the reports about provincial civil servants experiencing salary cuts are accurate, it indicates significant financial challenges and shifts in China's economic landscape. This could have broader effects on China's economy, property market, and social structures. As we turn our attention to recent construction sites, concerning discrepancies come to light. The foundations of newly constructed properties have reportedly sunk between 60 to 80 centimeters. Closer inspection reveals the use of subpar materials like mud and sand, with a complete absence of cement. Accusations of false advertising surround these properties, prompting many homeowners to demand refunds. This situation mirrors a larger concern related to the diminishing influence of the middle class in China. For many in this group, owning a home is a cornerstone of their financial stability. During the era of rising property values, their wealth grew in tandem, leading to increased consumer spending. However, the landscape shifted dramatically after 2020. Policy measures, particularly the three red lines introduced by the ex-Xi Jinping administration, impacted the real estate sector. The middle class, a substantial portion of whom own homes, witnessed the value of their primary assets decline. The result, many now find themselves in a predicament where selling their property wouldn't cover their mortgage expenses. Insider reports paint a grim picture. One commentator even joked about real estate agents potentially facing difficulties due to stagnant sales. To provide context, as of July 23rd, there have been no transactions for second-hand properties in the Tianten district. From a bustling 12 real estate agencies in the Tianten area at its peak, only 7 remain today. Remarkably, 200 agents have been unable to secure a single sale this month. A comparison of recent transactions highlights the downturn. A property that once commanded a price of 1.12 million US dollars recently sold for approximately 840,000 US dollars. This decline isn't confined to the Tianten or Tianten region, but reflects a citywide trend in Shanghai. While the current situation may attract potential buyers, sellers are facing challenges. Amidst these evolving dynamics, it's the younger, well-educated demographic, traditionally seen as the core of China's middle class, that could feel the impact of these market changes the most. Born after the mid-1980s during China's economic boom, this unique generation is now making important financial decisions. Often single children in families and raised with relative affluence, they have grown up valuing quality, trying new experiences, and sticking to beloved brands. But a closer look at their spending habits and life choices reveals some significant departures from tradition. Increasingly, this generation is questioning the idea of homeownership. For example, a young individual recently declined his father's offer to cover the down payment on a house. After careful consideration, he realized that the long-term costs of mortgages, particularly the interest-heavy initial years, outweighed the immediate benefits of owning. His alternative, to rent for a few more years and then potentially buy a property outright. Such calculations and choices reflect a broader skepticism among the young about traditional financial wisdom, especially when it comes to owning a home. This skepticism has had a ripple effect on what was once a thriving real estate market in China. Beyond real estate, The very nature of China's middle class seems to be changing. Businesses that relied on a thriving middle-class customer base are feeling this shift, as these consumers are no longer spending as freely as they once did. Various factors contribute to this change in behavior. After the pandemic, domestic demand has decreased, and strict health measures have disrupted normal business operations, causing many small businesses run by the middle class to close. Additionally, geopolitical tensions, particularly between China and the US, have further dampened spending. People are becoming more cautious about non-essential expenses. For any country, a strong middle class serves as an economic foundation. Their spending patterns, investments, and overall economic behavior are crucial for maintaining a steady flow of money, driving growth and stability. Throughout history, China has greatly benefited from the rise and prosperity of its middle class. As this pivotal group's behavior undergoes a noticeable shift, the consequences for China's future economic path remain uncertain. The path this red country will follow in the upcoming years is something that only time can reveal. And that is today's episode. If you found this video informative, please subscribe and ring a bell to get notification. Thank you for watching and see you next time.